Hello and welcome to Midlife Meltdown. I'm Ian, and today's video I'm shooting just while I'm out walking my dogs on what is a very cold but lovely Saturday morning. And actually this winter's been a very mild one in the UK, and it's actually starting to feel quite cold. I think we're sub-zero today, which has been very unusual. We've had a lot of rain, it's been very muddy, but I prefer cold and crispy. In today's video I want to talk about relationships, and particularly whether they're worth the cost. And before I send the internet, because I'm very aware that things tend to go to extremes, this isn't meant to be a anti-woman or an anti-man video, but more if you've come through a particularly long-term toxic relationship, as I have, and I know many of the viewers have, as you step out of that and think about entering other relationships, I can't help but ask myself the question, are relationships worth the cost? And particularly, do we go about relationships the right way? And there are a couple of things that have prompted this thinking. One, as per the title of the video, was the actress Emma Watson, aka Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter movies, came out in the press fairly recently and talked about being self-partnered, which at the time I kind of rolled my eyes at a little bit because it felt a little bit kind of typical Hollywood kind of statement to make, and I felt it was like a little bit of a little bit pretentious. But as I thought about it more, I thought actually maybe it's not a bad way of thinking. And also I was prompted by seeing, I guess, particularly relationships from friends and family over Christmas, and how people in relationships that I've seen kind of develop from the start turn into slightly resentful relationships. And I don't mean that in a horrible way, but what it got me thinking about was, do we jump into relationships, particularly at a young age, from a very biological perspective? So do some of our urges and drives kind of lead us into deep relationships, and particularly living circumstances that we wouldn't naturally choose. And I guess the reason I say this is, being now in my early 40s, coming out of a long-term relationship and a very long-term relationship, and I guess I have to be kind of cognizant that I'm also damaged coming out of that. So my way of thinking is probably slightly biased or very biased. But if I think about getting back into a relationship, I can't imagine kind of getting as deep into a relationship as I ever was. And I don't know if that will ever come back, or I'll ever want that again in my life. And I guess that comes a lot down to just independence. So I can't imagine getting back into a relationship, particularly at the moment, and living with someone ever again. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it just makes me wonder. I mean, I guess the one thing that being around family at Christmas did make me realise is the real benefit, the real need to get into a deep relationship and cohabit and intertwine lives completely is children. So my family that have very young children, there's obviously a need, and I do believe, particularly with everything I've seen and everything I've been through, I do believe that raising children correctly, excuse me, I'm just about to wade through some slightly deep water. I need to be careful I don't go over the top of my boots. But yeah, as I've gone through a lot of trauma, and the clear takeaway I have from all of it is, if we want to solve the world's ills, and I do mean a lot of society's ills, the best way we can do it is to raise children correctly. Particularly things like narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. I think, a lot of societal breakdown is just down to not raising children well enough, not developing them well enough, not setting the right standards, not giving them the right kind of standards and morals. So I believe very firmly, I think, in the family unit, if you're going to have children, think about it very carefully, and it really needs to become a full focus of both parents' lives to raise children well. And I say that as coming from a family with divorced parents, albeit that my parents were very invested in my upbringing and for my benefit, and thanks to them, both chose to put any differences aside and play an active role in mine and my sister's lives. But children aside, you know, if children aren't in the picture, which I guess is my case now, being in my early 40s, if I were to meet someone again, I don't think I could really intertwine my life, or I'd even want to intertwine my life as deeply as that, like cohabiting. I feel like I couldn't give up my independence that much anymore. And I don't know if that will change, but it just made me wonder whether we kind of get tricked in at a young age, you know, even outside of narcissistic personality disorder relationships, you know, codependent relationships, whether we just make the choice because it's kind of the default that you meet someone, you fall in love, you move in with them, and that's it, your lives are completely intertwined. And does that drive a lot of divorce, a lot of falling out, that you just suddenly become not romantic partners anyway, but just kind of dependent on each other? And obviously that kills a lot of the magic and leads to a kind of a stagnant relationship. And that's kind of what I was witnessing a little bit over Christmas, is just seeing people that, you know, over the years, and as I've seen them get together, just start to sort of, you know, slightly get on each other's nerves and resent each other a little bit. And I guess that happens at Christmas a lot anyway. That's kind of a natural part of it. But, you know, it highlighted my thoughts that A, I can't imagine getting into a relationship at the moment, and B, if I did, I don't think I could get into a relationship that deeply again. And what I mean by that is I don't mean I just want a superficial relationship. You know, I could see myself meeting someone and being completely, you know, monogamous, being completely with them, but just not completely intertwined lifestyle wise, you know, like living separately, spending time together, doing joint things together. But boys, this way please. But yeah, having our own interests, having our own life, and spending quality time together rather than, you know, all time together. And the reason I say at the beginning of this video this isn't about kind of anti-men or anti-women is, again, I have to be careful not to criticise other channels, but one of the things that I did come across a lot while going through sort of narcissistic personality disorder channels and learning about that is there seems to be a significant rise on both sides of the fence, really, from men that seem to be developing very anti-women, kind of women mentality, and, you know, going down the route of the bachelor lifestyle and women are just an accessory, and the same the other side, a lot of feminist videos that are kind of anti-men and giving the same message to women. And the thing that worries me about that is, I mean, everyone's got their right to their opinion, there's nothing wrong with that, but, you know, I could watch these videos a lot and just think, I very very easily think, oh, women are all the same, you know, they all kind of want to move on when they want what they want. But you have to stop and think, if you're going down the route of those videos, I always find it difficult to stop and think, you know, have these people not got mothers? Have they not got sisters? Have they not got brothers, fathers? Because when I watch videos, or you know, I don't really watch them, but when I come across videos now that are kind of very much labelling to young men, this is what women are like, this is what women want, this is what women will do. I mean, you're talking about half the population of the planet, and that feels like a massive generalisation, although I do believe that biologically men and women, you know, have common traits and common behaviours. To kind of generalise behaviour for half of the planet, kind of as a given, is a bit of a stretch. But also, I mean, I have to step back and look at my own mother and my own sister and know that they're not like that. Or, you know, if I believe that all women are just out to climb the ladder and just out to move on to the nearest partner when they can and trade up, you know, I have to look at my mother, and, you know, she's one of the most principled women I've ever known. And you know, I had my issues with my mother growing up, but one thing I'll say about my mother is she, after divorcing my father, raising me and my sister. She never ever sought another partner in her entire life, and actually only got remarried long after me and my sister had both moved out. You know, and she's a very determined, independent woman. Same with my sister. My sister's extremely capable, extremely strong-willed, and a very decent person. And you know, it's the same with, I could say the same really about my father. I mean, my father was the reason my parents got divorced, but to his credit, you know, the woman that he met, he's been married to ever since and been very happy. And you know, I have to look at the pair of them together and realise actually they're probably better suited than my mum and father ever were. As horrible as that sounds, they're just much more aligned. And it wasn't a pattern of behaviour with my father. I think my mother and my father just kind of weren't that aligned and probably fell into the trap of being together young and having children and it not working out. So that's a bit of a tangent anyway, a bit off topic, but I don't know, I guess the question to you guys watching is what do you think? I mean, are relationships generally flawed? Is being alone and independent the way to go? I think my takeaway from it all is I think somewhere in between is the right way to go. And strangely, this is a weird thought that I worry about slightly, and it's a very odd one that pops into my mind, is I can almost imagine the person that I'd like to get into a relationship with, to the point of even being able to visualize them slightly, although this isn't a real person. It's a fictitious person. That's a very strange thought, but maybe as I was going through that, that's maybe my mind kind of working out in itself what I actually want deep down, or what I'd actually want if I met someone. But it's a very odd feeling to feel like you're picturing someone specific that doesn't actually exist, that I've never met. But hey ho, I guess the mind plays funny tricks, and I just have to kind of live with that. And I think that the key thing I do realise is it'd have to be someone extremely independent. I certainly don't have any time to give, any time, energy, emotion to sacrifice for someone else's, you know, insatiable emotional needs. And that sounds a bit harsh, but I just mean, you know, the constant sense, not in the someone's having a bad time right now and needs some support, but just the kind of constant need to be propped up. I don't think that's something I could ever do again. But anyway, that was just it. Just a quick thought on the video. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. You know, do we approach relationships the wrong way? Have you guys got into relationships after leaving an ex, into healthy relationships, and how different has it been? Is it just different because of the person? Have you approached it differently? Did you look for different things in a person? So let me know. I don't have any plans myself to get in any relationships, but I guess you never know what's around the corner. But I definitely don't think I'll be doing it in the same way. And that's about all. So if you'd like to see more videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when they get released. I try and release them a couple of times a week. I might even try with doing these shorter videos out and about, try and do a few more if I can, just slightly informal videos. And if you have got any questions or comments or anything you'd like me to cover in videos, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you.